It has long been the practice on All Saints Sunday to read the names of those who have been members of this church and their children and others who have made a significant contribution to the church. When the church began in the early 60s, it was a church of young couples with little children. And so the first 6 deaths that occurred in the life of the church were the deaths of infants and little children. In fact, it wasn't until the 10th death of Elias Wiebe in 1994 that we had the first death of an elder adult, one past 40. And since then, we have had many, many of our friends and brothers and sisters in the church pass on. So I read the names this morning of all those in the order that they died that have been involved in the life of the church, in the spirit of the verse out of Psalm 116, "Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his faithful ones." Robert Ryan Warkentine, Richard Lynn Harms, Robin Dawn Warkentine, and my and Jeannie's stillborn son, Melanie Dawn Becker, Rachel Ann Dirksen, Richard F. Wentland, Doug Weentz, Janet Lansadell Sorensen, Elias Wiebe, Evelyn Crumbine, Orland Friesen, John B. Taves, Dietrich J. Gerbrandt, Randy Keller, Don Croker, Stephen Brandt, Elda Plank, Gerald F. Berglund, Lavina Penner, my father, Frank Peters, Oscar Becker, Hulda Croker, Marwood Dyke, Rachel Hebert, Danny Entz, Leslie Hudson, Marvin Penner, Dan Isaac, Josh Rowe, Seth Bailey Dunn, Evangeline Croker, Waldo Hebert, Richard Braun, Louis Jansen, Elsie Ann Croker, Mary Jansen, Jerry Friesen, Linda Gerbrandt, Paul Taves, Jane Friesen, Lynn Robertson, Phyllis Wiebe, Jim Harrison, Nyland Newell, Walt Isaac, Carol Friesen, Renee Taves, Danny Hebert, Jim Gates, David Dyke, Wilfred Martins, Madeline Nelson, Peter Clausen, Paula Isaac, Arlene Taves, John Heidebrecht, Kent Clausen, Werner Croker, Adina Jansen, Naomi Dyke, Barbara Taves, Lily Croker, Marge Weens, Marvin Croker, and then these three that have died this past year: Verna Entz, John E. Taves, and just this week, entering into glory, Irma Martins. May the light of Christ that shone so brightly from these friends and relatives and brothers and sisters among us reflect itself into our own lives as we live in their memory. Amen.